This episode of the Oren Project is going to be pretty similar to every other episode, which is how when you want something from other people, money, time, resources, sex, just kidding. Let me try that again. Money, time, resources, assistant, strategy, advice. How do you go get it using what you have on hand, right? Well, either using power or money. Money and power accomplish the same things, right? How can you do things without buying it? Because you can buy anything. How can you use your influence, your persuasion, your knowledge, your skills, and your language to go get the things you need? Typically, the things you need in business are money, resources, and people, right? So today, we're going to turn the lens around a little bit and focus on if we're a salesperson, right, we go sell, we prospect, we go and pitch, we try and either get money from investors or from banks, or we try and get customers to sign contracts and give us money. I'd like to introduce you today to Cullen Tully, who's the head of Exit Momentum, which is a group that helps companies put together their strategy to sell the company or scale quickly and then sell off some of the company or get some financing. And so Cullen is very focused on execution. So from my side, I'm focused on sales, framing. How do we frame information that we have to get a sales contract, to get somebody to invest? And life is very simple. We go sell what we have. Cullen is on the execution side of things. So how when I go sell a contract and Cullen's on the other side of the company and they buy from me, he comes in with lots of questions. How is this going to work? What are the deliverables? What's the timeline? What's our downside protection? How do we get out? Right? I've seen this before. These things fail. So guys like Cullen want to put lots and lots of overlay and security and contracts on top of the agreements we're trying to get done. So in some ways, we have to fight each other, yes, right? Because I want to go to the CEO of a company that you're in, right? And I want to sell him $250,000 of services. Right. And because I'm good at the pitch, I'm good and we have a good product, and we offer good services, and we have good credibility, and we get him all excited. And we put frame control on him, right? We get him focused, more and more focused. We get him excited. He wants it. We have the agreement in front of him. He agrees, right? We're very happy because in a short sales cycle, high margin deal, not much negotiating, we got a client, customer. Converted a prospect into a paying customer, short period of time with little expense. So we're happy. Then we're almost signed up and boom, the devil shows up, right? Somebody who knows what he's doing. So you look at the agreement, right? And you go, hey, the value, this. Yeah, the value that Oren's offering is great. Yeah. I'm excited about that, sure, right? But the Peter principle, there's all the catch-22 principle, just the law of large numbers, that things fail. There's lots of times these projects fail, and I want to see a timeline. I want to see a budget. I want to see how we get out. I want to see a termination. I want to clip the tail. I want to see deliverables, right? I want to stage payments so we're not paying upfront. And now, as a sales guy, I'm frustrated because I'm dealing with a execution guy who can see behind the curtain and knows all that. So my question is, when I run into a guy like you, what are the things that settle you down and help you move forward and agree to sign off on the deal?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is really just your willingness to engage in that conversation. Where so many people in the sales culture, business development culture get lost is that they don't even want to engage in that part of the conversation. They just want to get to the close and then kind of pitch over the wall And obviously, I think that was more common years ago and less common now. I think people are more, in the selling side of businesses. They're required to stay more connected to it, and compensation plans have also moved in ways that have caused that to change as well. But the thing to me, the first thing I want to see is, as you as a salesperson, are you willing to even engage in that? And do I see, your eyes roll in the back of your head like, oh God, like I don't even know what to do, deer in headlights. I better get somebody in here who's technical operations from the company. Like if you turn immediately to somebody else in your organization, you can't even engage in that and have some level of detail. I don't expect you to be the expert on all of that. You're a salesperson. That's what you do. That's what I grew up doing. I love sales. It's what I grew up doing. And I also saw there was more value in becoming more than that over time.
So I have to be not belligerent and willing to at least discuss the questions that you have.
Yeah, and just really thinking in terms of that it matters to you, right? Because there's a level of depth there about whether what you really want as the seller in that equation.
So what are the red flags in your mind? So I'm selling a service contract. It's $250,000, right? Your CEO or the company you're on the board of, or an advisor to, goes, hey, I love this service. They're going to teach us how to pitch. They're going to put together a deck. They're going to help us on the financial model. Yep. It's practically free compared to McKinsey, right? We're getting it for $250,000. I'm going to write these guys a check, right? What red flags do you look for that would make you want to pump the brakes? Because you take political cap risk, right? When you come in, that's another thing. When an operating guy or a legal guy comes in and tries to slow the CEO down on a pet project, you take political risk, right? So what red flags drag you in and go, hey, we need to pump the brakes?
I mean, the first one is if I turn up the heat on you, and then I can tell that you're not capable, which can happen literally in seconds, right? Like you can just poke a few questions. So first off, can you sit in the fire, right? Can you handle a little bit of pressure on this, because the panacea you painted is, not all that, right? And so that's the first piece. The second one is, have you done enough to understand how this fits into a larger strategic discussion for the organization? Because this is going to be really important to you. It's going to be really important to the CEO or the board or the investors or whatever it may be. But do you know how it connects to the other things that are already going on that are valuable to the company, that have driven the company, that created growth to begin with?
Yeah. Have I really invested enough time? Because I want to sell, right? I want a $250,000 project with 10 minutes of talking, right? But really, if it's about the financing the company, have I talked to marketing? Have I talked to finance, right? Have I talked to sales? Have I talked to legal? Have all those people weighed in and listened to make sure that we're hearing those people in terms of the engagement. So you're saying if I haven't connected to the other areas of business, and
so even it wouldn't even necessarily have to be connecting, because maybe you don't have access to that, because that may be something we give you or we don't, because we don't want to distract them. We may not want them to know. You may be involved in a project that's a little bit top secret or whatever like that, but you as the salesperson who's in there trying to push this engagement better have a next level understanding of how it connects to the core focus of the business, like what business we're in. And oftentimes what I see is the person that has that specific role in the deal really hasn't mapped it to see where the company was, where the company is, and where the company's going, and how this connects to that. It's more just, this is the thing they should be doing.
Yeah. Okay, so those are two red flags. Is, can you take a little bit of heat?
Yep.
And you're really familiar with execution and capability. Number two is, are you willing to have a perspective on the organization instead of every hammer is just looking for a nail, right? What are other red flags?
Like, I'll notice they keep repeating the same thing. So if you notice in your brain that you're making this cycle and that you can't get out of that cycle, I know we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because if that says to me you haven't done enough, again, to kind of think beyond your own pitch and your own frame to understand. And so you're not nimble enough to deal with it. So that's a red flag to me. As soon as I ask a couple of questions and I get the same answer, even though I've come at it a couple of different ways, I'm like, okay, we've got a very narrow perspective.
So good. So getting the same answers to different questions that sort of cliche, out of the can, package, scripted answers to deeper level questions.
Yeah, and I'll even look for words. Like with people, there'll be words that repeat themselves, and then all of a sudden I'll hear it, and then I'll hear it again, and then I'll be like, okay, so now we just have got this one, it's kind of like they've opened this one file in the brain, and like that's all that's in that document to be able to be presented, regardless of the question.
Yeah. Okay, what else? What else is a trigger for you? So again, the scenario is I'm selling, you're coming in and helping the CEO get to signing the contract, right?
Another trigger for me would be, can I speed you up and slow you down? So it's not always about slowing down for me. It may be faster, but what I want to understand is, can I change the velocity with you of this project? Because maybe, in my opinion, the CEO is not doing it fast enough and we should accelerate or slow down. So again, if there's any change in that velocity, and then for you to be able to say, here are the pieces we could take out because they're nice to have, but they're not required, or be clear about the fact that if we take that out, we're going to break this and we're going to lose this amount of value in this exercise. And so if you are adaptable enough from a velocity standpoint of what we're going to do inside the project, because oftentimes we've got this thing and everybody tends to think in terms of slow, which certainly can be the case. But there's times where I've been where I'm like, listen, we should do this faster because there's a competitive advantage to doing it faster. So what would have to happen there? So that's another one if we can change the time frames.
So change time frames, and what do you do about references, right? So you're hurtling towards a contract, and do you ever pump the brakes and go, hey, I'd like to get some references?
I mean, so it's funny because it's like, it's like almost like, hey, could you give me some of your bad references? Because it's like, everything you get is like the person that loves you. And so there is some value in that because you can have a conversation. I don't give it a lot of value. I'd rather kind of almost find my own or access my own information on somebody as a provider through my network. And there's so many ways to connect nowadays to be able to find somebody to have a conversation with. So references to me are somewhat helpful, but I'm kind of lukewarm on it, to be honest with you.
So let's talk about the big one for me is you going off on your own online and doing research, right? Like, I feel like my book has won so many awards, helped so many people, but there are negative reviews on it, which makes no sense to me. Like, just leave it alone. If it's not your cup of tea. It's not bad. We know it's not bad. It's taught at universities. I don't want to talk about the book the whole time, but it's taught at universities. But just prepare yourself for the next 20 minutes to hear about Pitch Anything. But the book it's taught at many universities. It's taught at many Wall Street firms. It's required reading at hundreds, thousands of firms. And so it's not bad. And it's not the worst book ever. Right? And
you're saying you have references.
And I have good, but online, I know Amazon might be like 62%, 5-star, and there's a bunch of 1-stars, and a lot of the 1-stars are, I don't know Oren, right? But I heard he was a jerk. I mean, I haven't read the book. But how do you get to vote a star? So you see this stuff. How do you weigh the positives and negatives? Because no matter how good you are, there's negatives.
Yeah, but I mean, yes, exactly. The thing to me is if I only see positive, I'm actually more concerned. Because great business people and great organizations screw up. Great business people and great organizations learn from that and grow from that. So it's like just like life and just us as people and whatever else. So as an organization standpoint, for me and for people that I'm counseling, I'm like, good. Like, so they've learned some things. Like, I get concerned about somebody too early in the process where everything is great and everything is wonderful and the product is perfect, and I'm like, okay, so I actually am comforted when I see that there is some noise, because then it's like, okay, well, they've had to respond to that and deal with that, and that tells me they may have gotten out of their lane, and that, so hey, help me understand how this happened, because then I might find out there's such a good fit for us as an organization, because now I know they've stepped out of their lane, tried to do something or attempted something and figured out, you know what, this is what we're best at. I'm in the pitch business. I know how to create this for people. I'm not trying to be, I know how to raise capital. You've got a couple of lanes, and you don't really venture out of those lanes anymore, but you probably did at some point in time, and you probably got, the spark.
Now I'm smart enough. I know I don't make pizza.
No.
And don't do websites.
No, and you don't change tires either very well at on bicycles.
And so then finally, I think, red flags. Be aware of what red flags, if you're less experienced, the more experienced people are looking for, right? They recognize not everybody is has 20 years in business. I mean, especially with social media, it's a 2-year-old business, right? They don't expect that. They expect the answers to the questions. They expect you to be prepared. They expect you to be willing to invest time. That's one thing we didn't talk about is preparation, because it's a whole thing, but a whole topic. But at least be prepared, and not the sense of, oh, hey, I just got in from playing racquetball. I got some coffee. Check.
You're showing your age. I just said you just lost half the viewers. Just so you know on that.
I just playing Candy Crush.
Once again, lost the viewers.
Yeah, lost the viewers. I was just working out, got in, had a cup of coffee.
You on your Peloton?
Yeah, I'm on my Peloton. I was just on my Peloton. Wiped the sweat, made myself a smoothie, or what's that shake that that is the Unifood? Soylent. Right. So I got off the Peloton, made myself a Soylent. Checked in on my gluten-free delivery from the delivery service, and then I jumped on this call to help your company out, and I didn't do any prep. And by the way, that is a huge red flag. It's not that you're perfect, but and people haven't lasted my organization. That's something that they have washed out on.
You can smell it. I mean, you can see it. You can smell it. It's so clear.
Yeah.
Like even if it doesn't come up, it just is like almost. It's like you have a sign on that says I haven't prepared, but you haven't. It's just very clear.
Yeah. Or I'm reading about you as you're talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the big red flag. All right, Cullen, from an execution standpoint, thank you very much. And I think what the great thing is you've been on both sides of it. You've been on sales, you've been on execution. Cullen here from Exit Momentum. Look at the company. What's the website?
ExitMomentum.com.
Okay, great. Thank you for being on today's show. This has been the Oren Claff Project. Share it with your friends. If 2 of your friends like this show, of course, we'll ship you a free Porsche, as we do all of our customers. We've shipped over 450,000 Carrera RSs for free because we're mad at our money and we just want to give it away that way. Okay, share this with your friends, and also check out the Instagram Oren Claff. There's a lot there that you didn't see here. We'll see you back tomorrow.